Hi guys, welcome to the Colour Cave. My name is Jem and I like to play with art stuff. Welcome to the Scrawlr challenge for the month of May. I have been giving it quite a lot of thought because in the box there was no pencil. So that kind of sent me into a bit of a freak. But I've been thinking long and hard and I have come up with an idea. It might even be a cunning plan. If you haven't seen the original unboxing for the May Scrawlr box, you can click the link in the card, which I'm going to put up at the top there, and you can go back and watch that so that you can see all the things that I'm using, and then you can come back and watch this video if you so desire. I'm going to grab all of the Scrawlr boxy type stuff and we'll switch to top-down view and we can get going. My main concern with starting this challenge was the distinct lack of a pencil, and as we all know by now, I am very much an advocate of the pencil. My main concern with that is obviously if you make a mistake in ink, it is not fixable. You can always draw over it, but you don't have the same freedom to make mistakes, and when you are not an experienced and talented artist like me, that can cause some quite big problems for you if you're not careful. So I really did take my time and I was probably overcautious when I was sketching out the initial outline of the drawing. With the theme of the Scrawlr challenge being woodland creatures, I decided to go for something that is very familiar to me and that I see far more often than I like to. I decided to draw a fox. I have seen foxes very much close up, but usually not in a living capacity. Now, I'm sorry, I know that's a bit grim, but I'm very familiar with their features and their fur and the way it sits and that kind of thing. So I felt that it kind of put me into a bit more of a comfort zone, if you like, rather than attempting to draw something that I'm not so familiar with. So when it actually came to things like the markings and the way the fur sits, I did find it a little bit easier, so that sort of calmed me down a little bit when I was trying to draw this. If I'd gone for an alien concept on top of having to use just ink, I don't think I would have managed as well as I did. At this stage in the drawing, you would be forgiven for thinking I was drawing a husky. And it's one of those points, it's sort of a transitional stage in drawings, and quite often I have found that I get a bit of a panic on because the drawing doesn't seem to be going in the direction I want it to. However, with the fox, one of the sort of defining features, although they are very dog-like, is the shape of their face. They are very triangular and pointed, and you can see there just by drawing in that first line on the left hand side, that really helps to define the difference between more of a dog-like, huskies have much rounder faces along the sides than a fox does, so that was really where it started for me anyway, to look a bit more like a fox and less like a dog. The other feature of foxes that is quite prominent is round the eyelids. They look as if they're wearing some really heavy duty eyeliner, and that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I made prominent within the drawing to help make the eyes pop and make him just look a bit more fox-like. Moving into the next stage of adding in texture to the drawing is again something that is very much experimental for me just now, particularly with using ink. If I was using pencil, I would find it easy to do some shading, particularly down the sides of the nose where there is quite a distinct black line of fur. But with the pen, I was trying to put in the shading, but without taking it too far, going overboard and just ending up with lots and lots of really dark black lines, which was going to take away from the contrast of the rest of the drawing. In at the ears, it was a bit easier to get that sort of fur effect, simply because most foxes have a sort of dark line of fur around the outside of their ears, which lets you get that sort of nice feathery texture of the fur. When it came to the main sort of part of the face, I tried to get that impression of the direction of the fur, but again, not to overdo it, because I didn't want to end up with a really, really dark piece, and that was going to be sort of, pardon the pun, overshadowed by just having too many lines in. Moving into adding colour to the drawing, because I only had 4 markers, I did plan out before I started to draw which colours I was going to use in what areas, and I've actually grown quite fond of these markers. I do tend to use Copic sketch markers, and the brush nibs on these are absolutely delightful, and they're really, really good for adding in that nice sort of flicky fur texture that you saw me doing with the pale pink marker just there. The colour's lovely and rich as well, so when it came to adding in the dark red, which was the terracotta colour, that went really well as well. I did try and use the colourless blender to blend out the pink at the tip of the nose there, just to give a bit of a highlight, and it basically did nothing. So I decided after that I wasn't going to bother again with the colourless blender, and just work between the pink and the terracotta shades to work in the fur round about the face and the nose. The brush tip really came into its own here, and you can see that I'd started to add in the texture around the sides of the eyes with that brush tip. And to be honest, looking at the picture as a whole, I could have left much more white in between those lovely little flicks, and I think I would have been just as happy with the outcome as I was with my original finished article. It's really nice to get some texture and some contrast, and sometimes less is more, and I think that I would use that technique again. Maybe not for drawing foxes, because I don't tend to draw a lot of them, but it's something that I can definitely employ in my drawings going forward. So I kept the chartreuse colour specifically for the eyes because I wanted them to pop out in the picture, and I'm really, really pleased that I decided to do that, because it's just the perfect shade and it turned out really, really well. So that was a good bit of planning, which is quite unusual for me when it comes to drawing. I did toy with the idea of drawing in some trees in the background, again with this sort of sage green colour in mind. However, I didn't really want to detract at all from the main part of the image, and again it's one of those ones where if I had a pencil I would have penciled them in the background so that they weren't as prominent. But I decided against it and just went for a sort of dappled effect, again with that lovely brush tip, just to sort of give the impression that there might be some greenery behind Mr. Fox. And I'm just finishing off here with the white gel pen, added some highlights to the eyes and just a few flicks into the fur, just again to give a little bit more definition and a wee bit more texture in the drawing. And we're just about done here. I was quite happy with the way it turned out, and I quite enjoyed doing this picture. So thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, that would be great, and consider subscribing. And we shall see you next time in the Colour Cave. Bye guys.